Kyle played us in there with a blast from the past when Mike Trout got a big standing ovation here. Well, the Phillies are back in action tonight. The second half starts tonight. Phillies, and they welcome in the Angels and Mike Trout. And look, I know we've had many conversations over many years about Mike Trout and the Phillies. I'm just going to make one final plea to everyone. The Angels are in. The Phillies obviously have, 13 days till the trade deadline? Mm-hmm. And I thought about it very simply this morning. There's no player the Phillies can acquire. There's no single bat that's going to be available better than Mike Trout. Mike Trout, I know people just stop paying attention to him because he's been hurt. He has played 70 games this year. His OPS is over 800. In his last, let me pull it up, 41 games since he came back from the injury list. He has a 9-11.
Don't want him, sorry.
Well, that's okay, Jolly.
I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to play that right there, but
in his last 41 games, he has a 9-11 OPS. He'd be the second best player on the team the minute he walked in the door. It'd be Schwarber and Mike Trout. Like if his name was someone else and it wasn't all the stuff associated with his injuries, you'd say he's the bat. I would trade for Mike Trout right now. I'm curious if people still want him because Elliot, 5 years ago, it was like the dream to get Mike Trout. And then every time it comes up over the last 3, 4, 5 years, it feels like there's less of an appetite to bring in Mike Trout. I would still do it. If he's willing to waive his no trade and the Phillies can work out a deal for him, I would love Mike Trout in a Phillies uniform.
Yeah, so I think with a lot of things and all trades, it does depend on the price.
Yes.
Now, the issue with this, though, is even if, let's just say Mike Trout could come to the Phillies just for free. You don't have to trade anything for him. There is still the issue of his contract.
So it's 5 more years at $37 million a year.
Right. So that's a lot of money.
Yep.
The Phillies, while I give them credit for spending as much as they have, they are one of the teams that spend the most in baseball. It does seem they have a hard cap, right, where they can't just spend the Dodgers' money, right?
And we're kind of near that.
And we are near that. So if you acquire Trout, I don't think it's crazy to say you are hurting your chances at re-signing Schwarber. Because they're probably roughly what Schwarber is projected around $40 million a year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, in the 30s.
Right,
yeah.
So it's roughly the same. My concern with Trout is, I am not doubling down on an old roster. The Phillies are already an old roster that are probably at their last go at this, right? So if you acquire Trout, while I agree he does help the team this year, and he would be perfect, and I think he'd be a welcome vibe change too. Like I think he would become a face of the team, which I think is somewhat needed for them.
He also could invigorate the fan base.
Correct,
who feels right now very down on them.
Yes, I think there's a lot of positives with him. But I think that you got to remove emotion from this and say, I'm not trading one of the top 3 prospects for sure. Definitely not doing that. If you want to say Castellanos for Trout, sure, I would probably do that. But there is the real contract part of this. So I am not as into it as you are.
I'm curious actually how many people will be into it as I am. Again, if he is on the injured list, if he had played 15 games this year, the old thing would come back. He's always hurt. He's played 70 games. He has played, since he came back from the injuries, he missed some time in May. He has been probably one of the 10 best hitters in baseball. He's hitting the ball harder than he has in 5 years. He's walking more than he has in years. Like, I know his numbers aren't prime Mike Trout, but on this Phillies team, he'd be their second best hitter.
But he could also, 6 months from now or whatever, less than that, 4 or 5 months from now, he could be another player that we're looking at and going, what a horrendous contract they have. Trey Turner has been better this year. Still, I would say not a great contract.
I agree with that.
Bryce Harper contract looks worse every single time he plays. And Mike Trout could be right up there with him, plus Aaron Nola. So you are really risking a lot for this exact team. And here's the other thing with Trout. Do I know he'll be good in the postseason?
He's played 3 total games, and it was a decade ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and again, only 3 games. Wasn't good in those 3 games, for what it's worth, right? But I have no idea if he can handle pressure. He's played in an irrelevant franchise, basically never plays meaningful games out there. Is he going to be able to handle coming home to Citizens Bank Park and playing in the playoffs in Citizens Bank Park? I don't know that. So I'm not as sure as you are that he'll come here and absolutely dominate.
I'm not
play well, I should say.
And I'm not sure either because we've seen him just for 3 games. It was a decade ago. He could be a great postseason player. He could be a dud. I don't know. I mean, Roy Halladay once upon a time never made the playoffs, and then he threw no. We're searching for a bat. There's no bat they're going to get that's better. And I know Byron Buxton's name has come up a bunch in the last few weeks. He's hurt all the time, too.
And didn't he say he's not going to accept the trade?
He said he wouldn't waive his no trade. I'm telling you, I'd be shocked if the Phillies find a bat better than Mike Trout. He's here this weekend. I would do it. Kyle, I know every time we bring this up, you're always anti-Mike Trout. Where are you now? And Elliot, made the idea that maybe we shouldn't go double down on this. I'm desperate. I'm desperate for a bat.
But that's when you make bad decisions.
Well,
that's right.
we already made bad decisions. They paid Taiwan. They paid all these.
But
make another one.
No, hold
you
on.
sound like me with my credit card. It's like, well, I might as well just keep going at this point. Yeah.
Well, I need a bat.
But I think you're overstating how deep into this thing they are, because I think the best thing that Dave Dombrowski did this offseason was leave them at least a little bit of flexibility in terms of not fully overcommitting. I know they have a lot of money tied up in years to Harper, Turner, and Aaron Nola.
Yes.
But we're sort of at this inflection point with this Phillies team right now where we either can win the World Series or we have to start thinking about the next phase of Phillies baseball, and that means youth. Like the Mike Trout thing, I think would tip it over too far into where I feel like they're overcommitted. Because he's under contract for what, another
five more.
I can't do that, man. And Joe, I'm disappointed because I told you last year to give it up, and clearly you didn't listen to me.
Oh, I'm not listening.
So
I've been locked in his last 40 games. I mean, the guy's red hot.
And you know what
Is
else?
on base the last 40 games? I mean, I listen to this. It's 433. 433.
That's awesome, but
awesome. We can't get 300 on bases.
First of all, he played 29 games last year.
I'm in the now.
He's never healthy, and in the now,
he's healthy right now.
Listen, he was and is a career loser. You're going to tell me that this guy?
An important point here.
This guy was with Shohei freaking Ohtani.
Oh, jeez.
2 lock Hall of Famers already on the same team.
It's
and they
baseball.
went to the playoffs once.
It's baseball.
He's a career loser.
Yeah. Well, he has been a loser. Doesn't mean he can't become a winner here.
To Kyle's point, though, I don't get the vibe Mike Trout super wants to come to Philadelphia.
He doesn't.
He's had a lot of opportunities to come here, unless it's for an Eagles game. He loves to come to Eagles games. But, are we sure this guy wants to come here? And I know he'd have to waive his no-trade clause, so he obviously needs to be into it to an extent.
Yep.
But you're right that there might not be a better bat, but when you take into account the entire situation, I think there are other players they could acquire that are not financially as terrible as Trout is.
I just want them to make him say no. Work out a trade with the Angels and make him say no.
What would you be willing to give up, though? Because that's an important part of this.
Sure. Obviously not their top prospect.
So you wouldn't give up Painter, Miller, or Crawford?
No, I would consider Miller or Crawford.
But you think, okay, so
I think that's...
Why?
I think that's bat bleep.
He's playing like one of the best players in baseball.
Joe.
All right, hold on. We all pumped up how good Trey Turner's been this year. His OPS is 50 points higher. Like, he's still I think because sometimes when a player goes from their perch at all-time great and they're not that anymore, we forget that that's still really good. If he came here, he'd be the second best offensive player on the team. Like, they're not going to accept nothing for him? You have to give something.
I think you're viewing this the wrong way. Like, you are trading a future asset to make, one desperate last attempt with this team. And that's not where you don't make smart decisions when you're desperate and when you're trying frantically.
We're going to waste this era?
I don't think it's wasting it. They've had their opportunity, and they have a chance this year. And you can acquire another player that doesn't, really hurt you for the future.
You guys too worried about the money.
You could say too worried about the money. The Phillies clearly have a hard cap.
But they also have Castellanos come off the books after next year. So will Taiwan Walker. And what's his name? Wheeler's going to retire in 2 years.
But that's the best thing that this team has going for them is that they're not overcommitted beyond 2 years from now.
We're going to do the blind resume thing at 12:30. If I gave you a blind resume of Mike Trout and his numbers, you would say, go get that guy.
Of course, but the blind resume, if it included his contract,
it's a bad contract.
And his injury history. You're right. He's been hot right now.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you make a massive financial commitment because of a small sample size.
I'm sitting here with Howie Roseman 1 and 2 over here with money.
Well, Howie Roseman wins a lot.
Let's just go get good players.
You guilt tripped us with where they're going to waste this era. They can get Mike Trout or not and still win or not win the World Series.
Sure, but I want the last 2 deadlines. They got Austin Hayes and Rodolfo Castro. I want Mike Trout. I'm sorry.
There's a middle ground.
Yeah.
And by the way, the thing Elliot brought up about potentially losing Kyle Schwarber, absolutely not.
Well, you also have a hedge if you lose Kyle Schwarber. You have Mike Trout.
But it's not a hedge
I don't
you
like
want.
that hedge.
Why do you want to commit to 5 years of Mike Trout, who is hurt all the time? And how old is he now? He's got to be up there.
He's probably the same age as Bryce Harper. They came up at the same time.
Okay, yeah. So what?
He's 33.
33. So you're talking about committing to a player at somewhat max money for 5 years. For what? For one attempt? At a World Series?
Well, it's a hedge doesn't mean I'm also just saying goodbye to Schwarber. But if Schwarber leaves, at least I have a power bat that's on my team.
You're going to sign Schwarber as well? You think that's a financial possibility?
I think it could.
And you're going to be committed to 4 guys that are in their mid-30s?
What else are they going to do? I mean, you guys act like they have
There's a clear smart thing to do here. If they don't win the World Series this year, you let Schwarber walk, you go to the young players, and you welcome the next era of Phillies baseball.
We also just assume the next era is Utley, Rollins, and Howard. How do we even know these guys can play?
You don't, but you're never going to find out if you keep paying 30-year-old players tons of money.
I just want Mike Trout. I'm sorry. You guys are making me feel guilty for one of the greatest players of all time, Robin Delco.
I don't think he is one of the best players of all time.
He obviously
You cannot be the best player of all time with 0 postseason experience.
He's one of the best players of all time.
And he's been awesome in an irrelevant franchise playing irrelevant games.
If you make a list of the top 25 players to ever play baseball, he's on the list.
And I think that's wrong, though.
Well, I mean, that's my list.
I'm just letting you know.